Okay, today we are playing a game on King's Row. We are playing Soldier on defense and McCree on attack, and this game took place in the Platinum SR range. And our current team composition is Reinhardt, Roadhog, Soldier 76, Doomfist, Anna, and Moira. So, two reasons to be sad. First off, no Mercy, always sad. Would gladly trade Anna for Mercy. Secondarily, Doomfist. Doomfist currently... I don't know how you fix that issue. We don't really want one. Would trade him for pretty much anything else, really. Maybe when those, 97 bug fixes go through, right? Maybe then. No, still no. Alright, so let's just start the game. So we are defending first. Apologies for no audio in this game. The audio is very muted and we can basically only hear people talking. So we're standing all the way back here. This is fine. An okay place to stand a soldier. If you don't think they've got a sniper, you can go and stand on the other balcony and, try and get a little bit more damage in. But standing back there is fine. It's not the best, but they do have to eventually try and push through the doorway anyway. If you're afraid you're going to end up not doing any damage back there, or you feel like you're not really doing any damage back there, you can just sort of stand, in this area, because you're covered from the window by this, from the pulpit in the church by this building, so you can kind of hang back here and stay out of line of sight, and it's a little easier to see people outside of the gate, you can actually see into the hotel and things like that. It's a little less safe, yeah, but because you've got this as cover and you can see people coming through the gate, you have plenty of warning that you need to get out of the way. So, but standing up there is fine. Can end up feeling like you're not getting necessarily much done up there. So we get killed by Junkrat bombs, which is very sad. Junkrat is not the best hero because he's really inconsistent at actually killing people. He's pretty, concussion mine evens that out a lot now that he can have 2 charges of that, but an issue Junkrat has is consistency. So, all of his damage is, dodgeable, so even though it's not especially helpful, the advice is kind of just, keep an eye out for Junkrat bombs and dodge, which isn't, the most helpful. So we shouldn't even be trying right now. This is why it is sad we didn't have a Mercy, because if we had a Mercy, even though we got picked off, it could have ended up not necessarily mattering, and we could have gotten res, and who knows. But we shouldn't have even gone up there to begin with. We shouldn't be going up there to try right now. And we get killed for it this time. We should have gotten killed the first time, really, but, no, we weren't allowed to do that. It is not feasible we take back that point by ourselves, and our team was not going to make it back in time. If you think you can stall it out long enough that the bulk of your team can actually get back, even though you'll probably die, if you can stall it out long enough that, the rest of your team will actually get back, it can be okay, but, that's generally doesn't happen. That's a pretty edge case scenario, just don't bother. Fight's done, don't bother trying, because all that happens is you end up dying, take longer to reinforce, you give them a little bit more ult charge, you don't want to do it. Just if it's gone, it's gone. Just, acquiesce that it is gone. So we've lost both of our tanks. We hadn't lost Diva yet, but she lost her mech, so we had lost Diva. So we're gonna have a lot of trouble right now. Doomfist's also dead. Not that Doomfist was necessarily being very productive while he was alive, but he's certainly not being more productive while he's dead. Well, I guess he could be, technically. Depends on how the Doomfist player is. We should have fallen back sooner. Because our front line isn't here with us, we can't stand up that far anymore. Because they can just sort of come and collapse on us because it's just 2 supports and soldier, which is not scary. So we should have just backed up sooner, and we could have avoided that death. If you can believe it, they actually don't get control of this checkpoint. Because we actually managed to kill off their momentum right here. And this is a pretty bad place to lose momentum on King's Row as the attacking team, because you now have to... When you respawn, you have to go all the way back through the street again. So, the reason the street is so hard to defend is the defender's spawn is 1,000,000 miles away, but if you stall out here, that kind of evens out where both spawns are roughly the same distance away. So they don't have the massive advantage over us anymore, now it's just kind of even. But if we do lose one fight, we do lose the checkpoint, but we actually never lose the checkpoint, even though it looks like we should. a couple of times. Like, you're gonna be like, really? So we reset up on the high ground, which is good. It's quite annoying to get somebody off of this high ground, and as long as we're paying attention to the doorway, it's pretty hard to get surprised. We do want to check that street every now and then, just because, like, if there's a Genji and he realizes we're up here, he might come around that way, that kind of thing. Pharah might try and flank around that way. So I would not use TAC Visor, right here. And this is the point where you're like, we don't lose this checkpoint? Yeah, we don't lose this checkpoint. As soon as you see your whole team get pulled into a graviton, it's pretty unlikely they're gonna get out of that one alive, and you don't usually want to commit ultimates to a fight that you've lost. This is a fight I would assume we have lost. We actually end, like, miraculously enough, between us and Doomfist, we actually managed to kill the rest of the team, and they actually never managed to regain momentum again. And then we reset up on the high ground. I try to avoid mentioning aim in general, because aim better is not helpful advice, but during the fight we're very jittery and very shaky, and there's usually two reasons for that. One is your sensitivity could be too high, which is fairly common. People like to have their sensitivity kind of high, whereas usually having it really low is better. My sensitivity is 7, so could be sensitivity is too high, because then, it gets really jittery. And the other issue could just be that you're not very calm while you're in combat, kind of panicky or flustered, just like, chill. Deep breaths, because panicking and, like, being flustered in combat is the other typical issue. Just be chill. Just, like, deep breath, like, focus on your crosshair, because usually also people are looking at the thing they're trying to shoot at, right? They see the fucking Mercy floating off in the sky, and they're looking at her. Like, look at your crosshair. Like, you can still see Mercy, and then you bring, like, it's a little easier. For me, anyway. There's different methods. Just, like, focus on your crosshair and try to be chill. I try to avoid talking about aim in general, because it doesn't tend to be super helpful, but very jittery. Lower sensitivity, or just try and be chill. So, we did walk past that health kit, even though we are half HP right now, which is easily in instant kill range from something unexpected. Pharah pops out behind us, direct hit, dead. Just, like, pick up the health kit or use Biotic Field. You can use Biotic Field as well. You just want to be full health before the enemy team reappears, because you don't want to risk getting randomly one-shot once the fight happens. Could have picked up the health kit, could have used Biotic Field if we wanted the Ultra. Like, real all over the place. And we did end up almost dying, despite when the fight started as well, so, if teams are resetting, just, like, get back up to full health, self-heal if you want to, or you can, because not all heroes can, or just pick up a health kit. So, now we've got halfway back towards TAC Visor again. Again, we're hanging out up here, this is fine. Standing in the street is pretty scary as Soldier at this point, because you can get collapsed upon, and as long as, we're watching for this kind of business happening, it's no issue. Junkrat poses no threat to us, because we're on the high ground. Our whole team got earth-shattered, and as you can see, a bunch of people died, and you're like, really, we don't lose the checkpoint? No, we don't lose the checkpoint. I know, is incredible, isn't it? So we come down here to contest the checkpoint because we have to, or they'll get the checkpoint, and our whole team is dead right now. And we stall it out for a while before eventually dying, which is not exactly surprising, because Soldier's not the best hero in the game at touching the checkpoint. But enough of them are dead, and we held on for just long enough that our teammate, and Tracer kills herself, which is helpful. But we held on to it for long enough that our team does actually manage to regroup, and now we get to come back and try again. We use TAC Visor right away. This is not the best place to use TAC Visor, because our field of view is very narrow down here, and you want... like, Soldier in general, his entire field of view is his zone of threat, but especially while using TAC Visor, so... just taking the extra time to go up on the high ground, or just, like, go forward closer to the edge of the tunnel would be helpful, because, like, your field of view is very narrow right there, and it's easy for, like, the Mercy to just disappear around the corner, and then we don't get very much value out of TAC Visor. If you're gonna use it, try to get into the best possible field of view before you can. Sometimes getting up on high ground is not feasible for one reason or another. Just try and get somewhere where you can see. as wide as possible, at least. We do reset up on the high ground between every fight, which is fantastic, because the issue most Soldier or McCree players have is that they do not value high ground adequately enough. We do reset up on the high ground between every fight, which is fantastic. So many don't. So many. Fucking see people in, like, Diamond and Masters who are just standing on the low ground when they could have just, like, could have gone up on the high ground, but no, I'd rather stand here and get killed. So now they don't have much time left. Reinhardt, Earthshatter was good enough. Both of their supports are dead, so right at the start of the fight, so they lose the fight. It's basically that simple. If you lose both of your supports right at the start of the fight, you are gonna lose the fight. Unless, like, your Genji manages to get a quintuple kill or something with Dragon Blade, you're gonna lose the fight. So they never, with rare game on King's Row where this actually gets decided on the street phase, right? Like, how often does that happen, right? Like, how many games have you seen get decided by Numbani's street phase, right? Oh, almost none. Little easier for it to happen on King's Row, but, like, Numbani, like, I think I've ever in my life seen 2 games get decided on the street phase in Numbani. It's just a ridiculous map, honestly. So, there's a thing right at the start here where we want to go hotel, and we call out for our team to go hotel, like, right here. And Reinhardt comes up here with us, takes a little while, but, like, the thing is, it splits up the team. If we want to go hotel, that's fine. You know, you can go through the middle, or you can go up through hotel. Both are perfectly fine routes. But the thing is, hotel is the road less traveled. If you want to go the road less traveled, that's fine. But you need to kind of arrange that team beforehand, with your team beforehand, right? Because everyone kind of needs to go the same way. Whereas, because we make this call late, like Reinhardt agrees with us, but now this team is just split up. If we want to go hotel, we should arrange with the team, like, before the round starts. Let's go hotel. Because then when we come out of the spawn, we all go hotel rather than some people going through the middle and some people going hotel. And you know, I don't care if you talk to people at all in this game, because I don't, and I got to Masters. Communication's not as important as people think it is. But if you're gonna try and communicate and you're gonna, or try and coordinate your team and try and arrange things with people, you gotta do it beforehand, because trying to do it in the moment just tends to, like, split the team up, and the biggest thing with Overwatch is you just want everyone to go in the same direction as everyone else. Where you go is not as important as the fact everyone goes together. And, as a solo player, if you're trying to arrange things with your team and your team don't want to listen to you or they don't want to communicate, you just have to go with your team or with the bulk of your team, because your team just, like, splits up and starts doing their own thing. Like, 4 people go that way and, like, 1 person goes that way. You go with the 4 people rather than the 1 people. They're not always going to listen to you. You just got to go with the bulk of people. But if you're going to try and arrange, like, an unusual path with people, you need to do it before you actually get there. In general, the Overwatch community is such trash that I just don't want to talk to people in this game, frankly. Speaking as someone who played League of Legends for 6 years, the League of Legends community is better than the Overwatch community, and I just don't want to deal with people, so I just do not join voice chat. And it's like almost never actually productive, and it's not as important as people think it is. Like, It's mostly used as a grieving tool in my experience, where people go, we lost the round, I need to find the excuse. 5 out of 6 people in voice chat? Literally unwinnable. Actually completely unwinnable. The Overwatch community is ridiculous, and I just want to interact with them as little as possible. You've played Overwatch. You've played a couple games of Overwatch. You've probably seen the people in this community. So, anyway, this fight now ends up taking a long time to conclude. We do capture this checkpoint, but it takes a while. We're going forward with people. Just as a general thing, objectives do get captured or pushed faster up to 3 people, at which point it is capturing / moving at its fastest. So if you look at the top and you see, like, that's very scary. Also, right in front of us. My favorite is when you throw the flashbang, Reinhardt still pins you, but then the flashbang stuns him because it's a projectile kind of effect. That's always my favorite. If you see 1 or 2, like, go and stand on the objective if you aren't urgently required somewhere else. So we use High Noon here. Understandable reason to use so, but to use it right there because you see 2 people who you want dead. But you shouldn't need to use Deadeye to kill those people because the fight at this point has already been won. Like, at least from that, like, because it would be better to use it right now. Because those 2 people should die regardless of using Deadeye, right? Like, it does make sure they die, I suppose, but you shouldn't need it to kill them. And because we used it there, we don't get to use it here, and this would be a way better time to use it because now they're actually coming out here to try and stall the checkpoint. And Moira is using Coalescence right now, so if we use Deadeye, maybe we kill her Coalescence, or we at least force her to stay out of line of sight until Deadeye is finished, thus wasting some of the effect on her Coalescence. So, probably didn't need to use Deadeye on those 2 people, and then that ends up meaning we can't use it in the better situation. And it's kind of hindsight is 2020 to go, oh, well, a better situation came up, but you shouldn't need to use it to kill the Mercy and the Soldier in that situation. They should die regardless. So here, I've got no issue with McCrees that go up there and flashbang people. I think in general, McCree players are too afraid to go up and try to flashbang people. But the issue is we're going up to do so while we're low HP. We're at 130 hit points when we go forward, so we do just sort of suddenly die. McCree, like, if you're, like, below 150 HP, you're just a worse tracer at that point. So you do need to be careful about advancing him. Got no issue with a McCree that wants to go up there and flash people, because to me, McCree is a closer range fighter than Soldier, and you should be, like, relatively close to your front line, and not be afraid to go up there and try to flashbang people, but you do have to account for your health and the things that are threatening at the time as well. You know, I suppose it's harder to play McCree in this way, where you're closer, but, I find McCrees that just sit really far back, like, never using their flashbang. It's like, you could have probably found a reason to use that ability somewhere in there, so I got no issue with that. And people are like, oh, you stand really far away. Oh, man, fucking go up there and hit people. Like, you're not as long range as Soldier. You got a flashbang. Go throw that flashbang over the Reinhardt shield. Don't be afraid. So, Maywall in the way right now. Very inconvenient. We start moving up. Again, no issue doing that. I don't like using Fan the Hammer. Fan the Hammer is a pretty bad ability, since they nerfed it. Since they nerfed it, he said as if this was a recent development. Happened in, like, Season 2. But, Fan the Hammer is a pretty bad ability. And the only reason I ever really use it is I've flashbanged a Genji or a Tracer who is literally right next to me. Because it's just easier to Fan the Hammer on them, and it will still kill them. Don't usually Fan the Hammer for any other reason except to try and break a barrier. Because you, like, fan, roll, fan, that breaks a barrier pretty good. If the tank has Discord on them, then Fan the Hammer chews right through them, but otherwise, I'd rather you just try and left-click the dude, even if it is a tank. Because usually tanks are also pretty easy to, like, hit, and pretty easy to headshot as a result as well. So here, we're really close. We do get away. As a general thing, flashbanging D.Va is usually not the best... flashbanging D.Va in her mech is usually not the best use of company resources, because you shouldn't need to stun D.Va's mech in most cases. And you will need the flashbang to kill Baby D.Va in all likelihood, because Baby D.Va is hard to hit. Then we just end up getting killed. Like, the fight by this point is already going quite badly. So once you are pretty certain that a fight is lost, and a general rule of thumb that I go by is if my team is down 2 more people than the enemy team, so it's like, we've got 4, they've got 6, we've got 3, they've got 5, you have probably lost the fight at that point. Sometimes just one person is enough that you can't really win the fight. If it's somebody really important like Mercy and your other healer is Zenyatta, you know, like that's probably pretty bad. But if you're down like 2 people, you should usually be just looking to get out at that point, if you can. If you can't get out for one reason or another, you should die quicker. Because this is important to illustrate why this is important, right? Because the reason you want to get out, when the fight's lost, you want to just get out as quickly as possible, because you want to reset with your team as quickly as possible so that you can actually try and fight again. And if you stick around in a fight that is lost, or very likely to be lost, all that happens is you probably end up dying. And then, because your team was resetting, but then you die while they're still resetting, now they have to wait for you to get back. The worst is, like, they get back to the front line and you die right as you get there. Because then they have to wait for you. So, then they have to wait the 10 seconds respawning and then the extra time it takes you to get back. So if the fight is lost, you usually just want to get out as quickly as possible. If you don't think you can get out, because it's just not realistic because of where you are or whatever, just die quicker. If you can, throw yourself off the map, because doing that also denies them ult charge from killing you. If you can't throw yourself off the map but you've still lost, just run at them. Just die quicker. Because you want to reset with your team as quickly as possible, because then you get to actually try and attack fast. You get to try and fight faster. And this vicious cycle where one person starts staggering usually leads to more people staggering, and then that's how people end up wasting huge amounts of time. So, we're calling out right now that Soldier is trying to flank us, basically. And Winston comes back to try and help us kill him. We end up not killing him. We're sitting really far back. Like, because Winston is in there, we know this dude is not going to come out at full health, and he is probably going to run for the large health kit. Because his alternative is run up there, and, like, he's not going to find any health very quickly up there. So he's probably going to run down here. So I would be hanging closer to this corner, because I would anticipate that if he's going to run past, if he's going to go by, he's going to try and go for this health kit. And I'm playing McCree. As soon as I see him, flashbang and dead. And he just barely ends up getting away from us right here. And then he gets around here in this position to use Tac Visor. We come forward to try and flashbang him and kill him, which is fair enough because he's using an ultimate, so we definitely want that to stop. Ends up not mattering, because he ends up dying anyway. But, you know, yeah, we want that to stop that from happening. But if we were just, like, a little bit more, predictive on where he's probably gonna go, then, we can probably stop that from ever happening at all. Maybe he goes, like, out the right side and tries to go for the small health kit underneath that ramp, but most people on King's Road don't actually even know that health kit is there. Because, not most people just go for the large health kit in the bar. So, just, if you think someone's gonna run past you, you know, and you're playing McCree, just kind of, you know, think about it. You know, can I get in the way to stop that from happening? So we should not be doing this. McCree is not a flanker. Don't do this. Just go be with your team. McCree is really bad at this, and, you know, we end up dying. You know, not too surprising. McCree's really bad at flanking. Like, if you're gonna try and flank, just pick a flanker. McCree is not a very good flanker. Also, thing with McCree is, this is the big difference between McCree and Soldier, right? Soldier wants to sit as far away as possible, preferably on high ground, and just threaten the biggest space possible, and he has self-sustain, so he can be further away from the team and be independent, he can reposition quickly because of sprint, blah, 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 long-range weapon. McCree doesn't have these aspects. He doesn't have self-sustain, he is shorter range than Soldier, he is less mobile than Soldier because roll is not as good as sprint, and he has the flashbang. Because he has the flashbang, he has a bodyguarding component that Soldier doesn't have. So you basically always want to be with your team, because you should be sitting with your backline. You should be sitting near your supports, basically, and trying to protect them. And you flashbang them and try to kill anybody trying to kill them. And you just can't do that if you're off doing your own thing, trying to, like, flank. And McCree is just not good at flanking in general, but he also has this component where, he has an obligation to attempt to protect his backline, and you need to actually, like, be with your team to make that happen. Here, again, we're going on this big flanking trip. This one does work. You know, and that's why McCree players do this, because, every now and then that happens, and that feels really good. McCree is not a consistent flanker, and Deadeye is not a very good flanking ultimate. I don't recommend doing it. You know, feels good. You know, we got him. Triple kill. Feels good. And then we kill Baby Diva as well. But You shouldn't do it. You should not do that. It's not what McCree is good at. We want to, you know, we picked McCree because McCree has a thing that he's good at. He pops heads. He protects his team. He's good. He just sits with his team, does damage from decent range, and protects his backline if they get dove on. He's not good at flanking. If you want to try and flank, just pick a flanker because they're good at flanking. Right? McCree isn't good at flanking. We want to do what McCree is good at. We don't want to do what Genji's good at, right? Because we're not playing Genji. So, play of the game. Oh no, he died right at the end of the play of the game. What a sad day. That's pretty sick. 15 Earth Shatter stuns and 12 of them converted into kills. Good shit. So, nothing like super huge stands out in this game as being a recurring issue. Mostly just smaller things, which is, you know, sort of what you would expect of a player in Platinum, where most of the big recurring issues are usually hammered out by that point. You know, people are basically know what they're trying to do, and it tends to be smaller efficiencies that add up over time at that point, which is largely the case in this game. So, thank you very much for watching. If you did, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm more than happy to answer, and I hope you found the video helpful.